Welcome to Paranormal Files Into the Darkness. I am your host, Sean Wagner, along with Michael Purcell, as always, and our guest from Paranormal Inc. and the podcast Step Into the Paranormal is Paranormal Investigator author Ernie Atwell. First of all, I want to thank you for serving the community as a police officer.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for mentioning it.
Well, it's such a profession that gets wrongly victimized, more or less. And well, I can't go too much further, but
no,
I highly respect your work.
I get exactly what you're saying, and I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much.
Hey, you're welcome. And how are you guys both doing?
I'm good, man. I'm just recuperating and hanging out, loving life.
That's awesome. Mike?
Oh, I'm doing well. Getting ready to head to Tennessee tomorrow, early in the morning. Going to the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, heading out there. It'll be our second year. My wife started a brand called Got Knockers. Mm-hmm. So ever since last year when she started it, we've been going to, some festivals. We'll have to check out the Gettysburg. I saw a friend that we met at Pennhurst Pyrocon last month. He was there, and I said to my wife, I said, we should check, and it's only, like I said, 2 hours from us. We should check it out. It was next year.
Yeah, there was quite a, not as many as far as from the paranormal side, but there were a lot of Bigfoot people there this year.
No, there was? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, that's cool. You guys have fit right in.
Little bit of everything.
Nice.
It is somewhat, and also somewhat of a related field as well. Certainly. All right. Also, this show is a super chat, so please give us a like and share on Facebook, or thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of future broadcasts on YouTube, and share. Any help we greatly appreciate, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Also, if you have any questions along the way, please put them in all capital letters. All right, well, it's about that time in the show when we're at Thursday evening. We start looking towards the weekend and have a drink to we've almost made it to the weekend.
It's Friday Eve.
Exactly.
Here's to a good show.
And then that too, absolutely. All right. Ernie, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, for those that don't know me, my name's Ernie Atwell. I am, I guess you could say, a paranormal researcher / investigator / obsessed with everything about it since a very young age. And I don't know, man, just fire the questions off. I'm ready.
So how'd you get started?
I'll try to I'll give you the summed up version because I have a tendency of rambling.
No.
But I grew up like most of the folks probably watching tonight. It was my brother and I, we were one of those like 365 day a year Halloween kids. We liked everything spooky and all that. But the funny thing is, I grew up in a very religious Roman Catholic family. And, I was, even when attending Catholic school, I've always heard stories about spirit visitations, people seeing apparitions, seeing loved ones. But at the time, based on my environment, everything that I heard and I was so intrigued by had to deal with like the spiritual or the religious aspect. So being an avid reader as a child, I would always find, which at the time wasn't like it is today, I would always, did we lose him? Oh, there he is.
I'm back. I had to itch my nose. I didn't want to do it on camera.
I would always find anything and everything that I could read about. involving spirits and angels and prophetic visions and people around the world, what they claim to have seen. And it wasn't until I was 11, and that's going way, way back, that I had my firsthand paranormal experience. That just made my passion even more, grow even more. And, I'm talking about the days before paranormal was an everyday word, before you could turn on any channel, open up your phone, and there's something paranormal. So, 20 years ago or whatever, when it first started, making mainstream, and I started seeing everything was labeled paranormal this, paranormal that. And when I started watching these things or reading about these things, I was like, wait a minute. That's what I studied. That's what I researched. It's called paranormal. So I like to say that, and that's what my first book is basically about. I would like to say that my religion or my spirituality is what led me to the paranormal field. And it's still to this day the way I view everything in the paranormal field.
Oh, nice. What was one of your first interactions or encounters with the paranormal?
My first, now I remember seeing photos and stuff like that. As a child that my family had taken at different occasions, and it looked like a possible apparition or whatever in the photo. But my first experience myself was I was 11 years old, and I lived with my grandparents, and next to connected to our family's church was my elementary school. And when my grandfather retired, he became the head, like, maintenance guy or whatever for our school and church. And we used to go in, how most of your Catholic churches, I would assume, they all have a hall. And in that hall, they have bingo and different social clubs and all that stuff. Well, my grandfather and I used to go in on Friday at like 11:30 at night after bingo. And we would clean up from the bingo and stack up all the tables and chairs and sweep and mop the floors. And if there was an event early Saturday morning, we would set up for that. And my grandfather always had this ritual. At the end of cleaning everything up, he would always go up into the church and make sure everything's locked, everything's put away. And it was the same routine over and over and over. So one evening we were there and he was upstairs going through, making sure everything was secured. I was at the far end of the hall and I was standing by the kitchen. I was drinking a chocolate milk. And if you would look down the scope of the hall, there was steps, like 3 steps on each side, which led up into the church. Well, I was standing there waiting for my grandfather to come down. I happened to gaze over and I noticed a priest dressed in all white, like he was getting ready to give a mass. He was just standing there staring. And at first, I thought it was a human living priest. But it was strange because he was looking in my direction, but I don't feel that he was looking at me. He was just gazing in my direction.
Oh, wow.
And as I stood there and I was frozen, I didn't know what to do. And I just watched him kind of dissipate into thin air. And, this was at 11 years old at 2:00 in the morning. You know what I mean? And I was in a pitch dark hall, except for the kitchen. The hall's kitchen light was on, which kind of illuminated the hall a little bit. But that was my first experience that I ever, witnessed with my own eyes.
Wow. Did your grandfather have any encounters at the church?
Well, here's the funny thing. And for those that haven't read my first book, it's in the book, the chapter's entitled "They Saw the Priest." The funny thing is, at first, I didn't say anything to my grandfather because we only lived about 5 minutes away from the church. And I kind of wanted to keep it to myself and process it, maybe. And I figured, well, when I go to school on Monday morning, maybe I'll see him. Like, I'm still trying to convince myself that this was a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, eventually, I wound up telling my grandfather. And what he told me blew my mind. He said that parishioners throughout years and years have made the claims of periodically seeing a priest dressed in white at different spots in the church. And he would just stand there as if he was checking on things or checking on people. But eventually, over time, a friend of mine, he was in my class in school, he got in some trouble. So, you know, it's a little different when you go to Catholic school. They have their own, you know, you're not necessarily under like the county school board. So this kid got in some trouble. So instead of being punished, what they did was, it was kind of like, I joked and said it was work release. He had to work 2 weekends or whatever with my grandfather and I cleaning up on Friday. That was his punishment. So it was like his second weekend. And we were standing there waiting for my grandfather once again. And him and I, you know, we're 11 years old, man. We're laughing and joking and carrying on and seeing how many of the chocolate milks we can drink from the kitchen and, you know, just silliness. Well, his conversation with me just stopped. And I noticed he was staring off. And he didn't say a word to me. And as I gazed over, I saw him again, too. So it's kind of odd, but both of us saw this apparition of this priest. And he just stood there and stared at both of us. So at that point, then I was convinced that what I saw, I really did see. Oh, wow. And, you know, just to bring a close to it, another adult worked with us for one night for the extra money. And my grandfather the following week told me that he wouldn't be coming back to work with us anymore. And when I asked why, my grandfather told me, he's like, he saw the priest and it bugged him out and never came back. So, all
right. Well,
but it always seems good when someone, hey, there's John McGinnis. That's Paranormal Inc's cameraman. What's up, John? But it's always good when somebody else, and it's not too frequent, that someone witnesses something with you, you know, and you can actually stand there and stare at it together. You know, that was kind of odd.
That's.
We also have Lauren saying hello.
She's my publicist, and she's from Happy Horrors Productions. If you've ever seen her films, The Devil's Lettuce and Yield, you want to check them out. And she's got like 8 books published. She's an amazing person. And she'll probably critique me about my shirt later, but she always makes comments about my t-shirts.
Since you have seen stuff, one question I asked was, do you happen to have any abilities by chance?
I don't. I now I've had several, and see, I look at things so differently than your normal person, but I've had several well-established psychic mediums tell me that, you know, I'm sensitive or an empath, or that. I don't know if it's that I don't see it. I choose not to believe it, but no, I have. When we investigate, when Dave and I get called and we have to investigate someone's home or their business or their land or what have you, I need the evidence. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those. I don't walk into someone's house and, you know, suddenly I'm like, oh, I can feel them attaching to me. And that's not me. I'm not that special. I have to work for everything that I come across.
Plus some of that stuff you risk unnecessary scaring the client as well.
Yeah. But I mean, I know some fabulous psychic mediums that work with us all the time, and what they do is amazing, you know. And I see that as God handpicked certain people to have these gifts, and you know they're granted these gifts for a reason. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of those people, man. I have to go out, you know, old school hardcore and come up with my own evidence. I don't have that ability.
Well, who do you work with? Who have you worked with in that regards?
Oh my goodness. I'm good to say their names.
Sure, I don't care.
Lori Johnson from Ghost of Shepherdstown, the Maven Medium, Kelly Miller, you know, Dr. Rebecca Foster.
She was a great guest.
Yeah, April, the psychic housewife of New Jersey. That's just Rick Hayes. That's just to name a few. I mean, you know, and a lot of those folks, like you know, like I mentioned, Dave and I do a lot of public investigations, and you know, have the mansions or whatever contact us. We'll lead the charge for that night, and the public come investigate with us. And we always try to have one of those well-established, well-known psychic mediums with us. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, can you tell us that kind of leads into my next one of the questions I had in the group as well. Can you tell us about how you got Paranormal Inc. started?
Well, yeah, very simple. I was, you know, like I said, from age 11, you know, most of my research was reading, going to, you remember I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm older than you guys. We would go look through the microfilm at the library, and anything I could read about. I was so obsessed with reading. And, you know, it got where when the paranormal started coming mainstream, you know, and I would just venture out on my own, you know, my digital camera, my voice recorder, and away I would go, you know, from morning till night, wherever I could, you know, investigate. Well, on October 20th, 2008, I caught a photograph, and it was by accident on Lefevre Street in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It was a full-bodied apparition of a female. And my friend Larry and we had an experience in Gettysburg actually back in 2004, which kind of kicked this into the high gear for me.
Where is Lefevre Street? So we can put that in perspective as well.
It is directly across the street from the Farnsworth house. It's the dead end street where the school is at the end. You know what I'm talking
it's actually the schools.
It's like it's an ice cream shop there now on the corner.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
Right. But the funny thing is, I was going to a funeral. This was back in I guess 2011. Someone on my wife's side passed away. And she said, hey, you know, my aunt and uncle, you know, they're real into the paranormal. I'm going to be there, you know, and we're going to have like the reception or whatever afterwards. You ought to take that photo you captured in Gettysburg. They'd love to see it. So I took it to them, and we got to talking, and come to find out they were part of an established paranormal team. So they had a investigation coming up, and I was invited along as a guest investigator for the evening, which I was like, oh, this is so cool, you know? So I wind up joining their team, and in like 2015 or 16, I wound up bringing Dave Siler in, and, you know, we ran with the team for a couple of years, but then I wanted to go in a different direction. I wanted to expand things a little bit more. So I for about 3 months, I was talking with Dave and other people I had worked with in the field. And I told him, I said, hey, you know, I'm thinking about leaving my group. I want to go by myself. And, you know, I would like to expand what I do. I would like to, you know, public speak about it and, you know, just try something different. So I met with Dave, and we talked for a while, and Dave knows my technical skills. So he said, look, man, here's what we're going to do. If you leave the team, I got your back 100%. I'll leave with you. I'll handle all the tech stuff. And in 2017, we started this 2-man project, Paranormal Inc. And we fortunately, we hit the ground running, man. A week after we broke from the team, we were somewhere doing our first lecture, and we had Dan Class from Hinsdale House. He was at the event. The three of us led a public investigation, and it's been nonstop since.
Nice.
Very
Have
nice.
you been to the Hinsdale House?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you for those that visit Dan's Hinsdale House, when you leave the kitchen into like the living room, you'll see my name on the wall above the archway.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a Hinsdale House. That's that's a pretty strange place, man. If
Can you tell us about it a little bit if you could? That'd be great.
yeah, Dave and I, it was not this year, but last year when we were in upstate New York for the Rochester Parafest. We were in the event, and Dan was there and everything. And Dave and I had never been to the Hinsdale House. So he was like, look, man, since you're in town, why don't you go down in the morning? The day before, it was the day before the event actually started. Sam Baltrusis was there and Richard Estep. They were doing research on something. He's like, man, why don't you go down there with them for a while and just hang out? So that's what Dave and I did, man. We drove an hour from where we were down to the Hinsdale House and, hung out with Sam and Richard, and Dave and I just checked it out and, did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and just wanted to see it. I mean, we didn't do really like an investigation or anything, but we just wanted to be there and get a feel for the place. And it was really cool, man. It was real cool.
Also, Sam we had Sam on about 3 guests ago or so. Roughly,
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
He was a great guy.
Me, Sam, and Dr. Rebecca, we were together last month at Strasburg, Virginia, at an event. I would imagine she mentioned it.
No.
Yeah, I think she did.
Yeah.
You said you guys do a lot of guest investigations. Where are your upcoming locations for that, where people can join you?
Our next public investigation is at the Samuel Miller Mansion in Columbia, PA. And some of the others that we do, they just come in sporadically, but we do a lot of work at the Sam Miller Mansion. We will be scheduling another public investigation at the historic 1912 Hoover House, and it's right outside Gettysburg in Waynesboro.
Mike and I were there once for a guest investigation.
Oh yeah,
the one with the brothers. Was that the?
Yeah, I wouldn't. In the end, it didn't go all that well, unfortunately.
When were you there?
October of 21.
With the Kling brothers?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was there with Brad and Barry for the day portion of it.
Oh, okay.
Because they were set up, and I was set up selling my book and merchandise and stuff like that. But I had somewhere else to be that night, so I didn't stay to investigate. I had somewhere else to go. But I was there.
Oh, well, we just missed you then.
Yeah.
It was October of
21. Yeah.
21,
October.
Yeah.
October of 21.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we're getting ready to we just recently started work on it's called Ramblewood. It's in Maryland, here where we're based out of. Pretty cool place, man. But they don't start their paranormal season there until October because it's a working campground. Okay. So actually, Dave and I were talking before this episode started. Because we have a well-known company that wants us to lead their employees on an investigation there. Plus, we're going to be scheduling another public, but it's no telling where we wind up at. Because, for example, just like while I was at the Gettysburg Bash over the weekend, I got 3 more offers for other Paracons in 2024 already. So things just pop up. You know how it goes.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's what you want.
Yeah.
We got a couple of things to go through here.
Sure.
Lauren said, "You're correct, sir," on the T-shirt. She'll discuss it later.
Danny Fannel, baby.
And then she also said, "One of your talents is to sweet talk ghosts into interacting."
Oh Lord. That's a whole different episode.
That's Fresh. Welcome. Thank you for joining us again. That's Fresh. And Uncle Bones, thank you as well. And then we have Lauren. October is the best month and her birthday month as well.
Well, actually, Loren's supposed to be at Ramblewood with us in October. So that'd be a big treat for anybody coming out, man. You can get to meet her, and it enough said about that. You just, if you don't know her, you won't forget her once you meet her.
Where is Ramblewood?
Ramblewood is in Darlington, Maryland.
Okay.
In the middle of nowhere. When you're pulling up, you can just hear like the Friday the 13th theme in the background. Really scary, spooky place, man. It's like some real Scooby-Doo stuff.
That's cool.
That is.
How far is it from you?
50 minutes.
Okay.
And I live like 10 minutes from BWI Airport.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not that far. I mean, considering, you know, we're used to driving 4 or 5, 6 hours, you know, 50 minutes is like sometimes it takes me longer than that to get to work. You know?
I can see that as a possibility. Especially near where you live.
Yeah.
And this Lauren goes to Spooky Bee, is very excited about it. And she wants to know, will that make me Velma or Shaggy?
No comment.
So the place in Columbia that you're going to investigate, the Sam Miller mansion, what is that? What kind of activity they have going on?
That's a good question, and it's hard to answer because it's such a weird place to get a grip on. Now, over the years, we've been to so many different places and mansions, and you can, like what I like to call your resident spirits. You kind of get a feel for what's going on. Where Sam Miller Mansion, it's almost like every time we're there, it's something different. And we've had many people, many mediums there with us. And, you know, we've come to the conclusion that we feel like it's a almost like a pass-through portal where it's just like for spirits to come through because it's always something different there. Now, I'll tell you one of the strangest things that ever happened there was we were on the 2nd floor. And we were in one of the rooms, and it's an A-frame room. And off to the side, underneath like the A-frame, is a bunch of insulation. So Dave and I, we got there really early. And Loren was actually, when I continue on with the story, she was actually there. But we're leading a public investigation. Now, Dave and I, we got there. The owner gave me the keys. We opened the mansion up. She wasn't there. So Dave and I are doing a preliminary sweep just to get a feel of what we're working with that night. And everything was fine. So during the investigation, I happened to be just squatting down on the floor, kind of like a baseball catcher. And I'm talking and whatever I'm doing. And the owner, Amy, she happened to open up her cell phone, which gave a little illumination to the room. Off to my left, in the cut of the A-frame, I saw a man squatting down. My first thought was somebody was hiding in the mansion. Like he got in without me knowing, or he was there the whole time. So I didn't jump up because I didn't want to frighten anyone, but I stood up, gradually started making my way over, and this man vanished just right before my eyes. And I tell you what, when we went downstairs, because I had my group, Dave had his group, we broke in half because it was a large group that night. And as soon as we got downstairs, Dave said to his guests, he was like, hey, show Ernie what you captured upstairs. Well, they had captured someone sitting in the rafters. They captured it on film.
Sitting in the rafters?
Wow.
Yeah. Like the beams, you could see their feet hanging over. It was crazy.
Oh, wow.
And they were in there right before I was in there with my group. Now, they asked me to describe what I saw. And this is where it gets kind of strange is what I saw was a man squatting down just like I was. He had a bald head just like me. And he had on a, I couldn't tell, but it was a black outer garment. And I had on a black hooded sweatshirt. And he was like my complexion. But the thing was, he kept his head down, like, so I couldn't see his face. And I didn't think much about it, but I when the guests asked me what he looked like, I said, to be honest, he kind of looked like me, but it wasn't me, you know. So some time has gone by, and we were having a real special event there one night. It was Dave and I and Loren. And if you know who Jeff Leeper is, he's a demonologist / exorcism. He was on the final episode of Ghosts of Shepherdstown. We were all there together leading a public investigation. And I had been outside for about 10 minutes. I was with some of the people from my group and Loren. We were just standing outside getting some air. So here comes Jeff Leeper out. And I mean to tell you, you know, I do a lot with Jeff Leeper. I know the guy. And when he walked out of this mansion, he was gray. I thought he was sick. And I approached him and I was like, Jeff, are you all right? And he goes, how long you been out here? And I said, about 10 minutes. I was talking to Loren. And he goes, you weren't just upstairs. I said, nah, man, I've been out here for 10 minutes. Well, Jeff said when him and his girlfriend went up the steps, I was in the second floor hallway. I rushed into a room, motioned for him to come in. He ran behind me, and where he ended up was a hole in the floor that he kind of, backed off. And I was like, now you got to know Jeff. Jeff is one of the sweetest souls you will ever meet, and he's sincere. You know, he's a really honest, sincere guy. And, he's been in this field over 40 years. You know what I mean? So I really trust in what Jeff says. So here's where it gets crazier, guys. I'm standing outside now. It's about 20 minutes. So now it's me, a few of my members, Loren, Jeff, and his girlfriend. Well, I get a call on the radio from Dave. He's upstairs with his group. Hey, Ernie, where did you go? I said, I'm out front. He goes, all right, how'd you get out there so quick? And I said, Dave, what are you talking about? He says, how long you been out there? I said, about 20 minutes. He goes, you just didn't go in this back room? And I'm like, nah, man, I've been out here for 20 minutes running my mouth. Well, Dave had the same experience, but it was in a different room. When he came up to the steps on the third floor, he said I kind of shot off into a room like I was chasing something, and Dave just naturally ran behind me. And when he got in the room, there was no one there. So, but to end this one, I was at home one night, late at night, and there was a private group investigating the Sam Miller mansion. And I happen to know the group. It's a paranormal team, probably 10, 11, 12 members. They rented the location for the night. And one of them contacted me and said that they saw, I don't know if it was on camera, whatever, of an apparition that resembled me. And I hadn't talked to these folks or told them our story or anything. So it's just kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's also impressive on behalf of the internet. It takes a lot of energy for them to manifest like that.
Yeah. And like I said, the first time when I saw the guy, I honestly thought like, oh crap, like somebody snuck in here. And my first instinct was the well-being of the group. I mean, they're our responsibility. You know what I mean? And that's why I kind of just, nonchalantly went over to him, and he just was gone.
Wow.
Yeah. Lawrence says, every word is true. Definitely a spirit pretending to be him, trying to lure others around. So bizarre, but true.
And that's funny because that night that happened, right? I'm very meticulous, borderline OCD with things. And the Sam Miller Mansion, they have these big, beautiful curtains in all the rooms. And when we got there, while it was still daylight, we were setting up. And Loren and I went through the building, and we were unhooking and closing the curtains, before the sun went down. So I go in one room, she goes in the other room. Then we go upstairs, same thing. She goes back downstairs and calls for me like, hey, didn't you close these curtains? And I'm like, yeah, we closed all of them before we went up to the third floor. And the two big curtains were back up and hooked.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of like, but it's a lot. If you guys are close, I mean, you're in PA, you ought to try to check that place out.
Yeah, I've been there once.
We've had, I could go on for days about the things that we've captured there. We keep getting, I seen a shadow dart out of a room one night. I was in the mansion by myself. I always walk through by myself and get a feel for the place before we start. And I was walking through and I seen a shadow come out of a room, take off into another room, and I chased behind it. But later that evening, myself, Kelly Miller, and Flip Searles, we were up there. And Kelly and I, and this was the second time I saw this, Kelly and I viewed with our own eyes now, a man peeked around the corner out of a room. Kelly and I both saw him, and then he ducked back in. But these are just the kind of things that happen. You know what I mean?
Sean, was that the place that we went to during the day but we never got back to do an investigation?
Well, yeah, we did get back. Unfortunately,
I never got back.
I have to reschedule that or schedule that place again. But the owner, Amy, was very accommodating to us.
Oh, she's the best.
That's the printing place, right? One side's the printing.
Yeah, we lacked I lacked numbers, unfortunately, that night due to things happening at the last moment, and she still let us go for. She was very accommodating.
She is.
She didn't have to be. So
when we host our events there, man, she always has drinks and refreshments and snacks, and it's awesome. Like, when Dave and I are doing our lecture at the beginning or whatever, people can have a coffee or soda, and she has different foods there, and it's such a good time, man. And Amy, she's so just like you said, man, she's so welcoming, and you feel at home when you're there with her, man. She's a real nice person.
Yeah, I guess we didn't make the night one, but the day one where a couple of us got together with my wife and I. When you walk into the printing shop and there's that doorway that goes into that room between, I don't know, like the room between the building, you upstairs. We were all hanging out, and it was my wife, me, and then Amy and we were just talking, and we caught a orb come right out of the floor between us. And I'm like, did you see that? And she happened to catch it. She didn't take a picture, but she took a picture, and that picture actually caught the orb.
That's a great place, and it's right nearby. So,
yeah. I remember the antique shops that are here.
Guys, I gotta take a 30-second break, man. I got an emergency call coming in.
No worries.
I'll be right
No
back.
problem. Thank you. Well, that place is truly a great place, though.
I would definitely want to go back. Yeah.
I got a schedule. Unfortunately, Jim's out due to a health reason temporarily, so I'm hoping that he's not out too long. Jim is my tech man, so I kind of need him, and hopefully it won't be too long at all.
No, I didn't know he was had a health issue. Yeah.
Or yes, Loren. Well, I took a group to Pennhurst about probably 6 years ago. It's actually one of the pictures. One of my main Facebook pictures is I think the Devon Hall building. That place was awesome.
No, I haven't been there. I've been there for the Paracon that was there. Was it last month in June or May? Maybe probably May. It was in May. Yeah, we went to the Pennhurst. My wife did a little thing with before they went out of business, Ghost Hunts of America, and she was at Pennhurst. She had a pretty cool experience that really freaked her out. They were down in the tunnels, and they led their first group or two, she said. And when they were done, the tunnels had like plastic water bottles, like soda cans, and her and the other woman cleaned everything up. They went back upstairs and took the next group down, and they were doing sensory perception. So they went down, lined the walls of the tunnel, turned off all the lights, and it wasn't as soon as the lights went out, she heard what sounded like a tin can being kicked down, and it just freaked her out. And then when she told the story why she was freaked out, because there is nothing in the tunnels, because prior to that group going down, they cleaned everything up.
Yeah, wow. Unfortunately, for me, I have bad luck in that regards, because the tunnels were not open when I was there, or at least not open for us. That I know they were still doing a lot of renovating at the time.
Yeah,
that I was there, and that was, like I said, 6-7 years ago. Easily. All right. We have some comments here. That's Fresh. And then Fresh has a question as well. Thank you, Fresh, by the way. A question for Ernie. Have you spoken to any time slip dimension experiencers?
Yes. If they could elaborate a little more, because I don't understand if they mean, have I spoken to another dimension or spoken to someone that has encountered? You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what side of the fence they mean.
No problem. Give Fresh a moment here. In the meantime, this is going back a little bit time-wise now. Loren checked in with the others too, and they were near the area, but the curtains were moved. Then that piece of toy that moved.
There, we had certain toys placed in the room where the curtains moved, and there was one toy in particular. I can't remember what it was, but Loren noticed that the toy was gone when we got back to that room. Later in the investigation, someone, I think, stepped on something, and this was at the other end of the mansion. Someone stepped on something, and it was the toy that was missing. It was in a whole different area of the mansion. So I think that's what Loren's talking about.
Okay. Fresh got back to us. Thank you, Fresh. He is a time sub-dimension experiencer from England. He's trying to get to the bottom of, so the more experiences, people he talks to gives him more answers.
I mean, I think I get what he's saying, but I kind of don't get what he's saying. Because I look at it, I don't know if this will shed any light on it, but you know, as far as the paranormal in general, I feel that it's all a different realm or dimension anyway. So I'm not sure if he's referring to like a certain time period, like have you spoken to someone from the 1800s, or that could simply just mean someone in a different dimension that's recently passed. I'm not really certain what he's driving at.
Okay, Loren said tan piece of wall for the action figures.
Yeah. There was a toy. Yeah, Dave stepped on it. Yeah, figures. Dave stepped on it.
Okay, fresh comes with an elaboration.
Okay.
Ancient Lane, house and area completely disappeared. Still hasn't returned as of yet. Never been seen by anyone but himself and his brother, Layers.
Oh, wow. I mean, sometimes, there's theories out there that people just step into a different dimension, or sometimes I actually kind of wrote about this in my second book, where you know how sometimes you'll be doing something and you think you see somebody there and you look and there's no one there, or like that real quick experience. I feel sometimes the energy can travel through the different dimensions, and that person or that house or that whatever that you catch a glimpse of or you see, that wasn't intentional. It was kind of just like maybe some sort of burst of energy that enabled the two different realms to line up to enable that person to see that. Does that make sense?
Almost like an opening occurred in amongst dimensions, for example, or something, some kind of realm thing.
Yeah, because I do feel that, not everything that a person sees or encounters was for them specifically to see or encounter. I think it might be a time slip in the dimension where they're like, oh, wow, did you see that? You know what I mean?
Okay. Whoops. 1 second. I'll go back one. That was us. He's been really ill since.
Oh, wow.
Also, 3 years ago, February 2020, I'll never forget. He wished he had never gone into a forest location. And
yeah, some things are pretty traumatic. You know what I mean? Depending on what you encounter. I had an experience one night. I mean, this is nothing like what he's saying, but I had an experience one night that was unexpected. Of course, I mean, well, they're all unexpected, but where my body actually completely locked up, and my wife said I hit the ground, and then I popped up, and when I came to my senses, I was in my car. Like, I was sitting in my car still holding my camera. And the thing was, it was just it was so unexpected and so sudden, and it must have startled me. And it's just the craziest thing, man. Like I said, I remember my body locking up, and I couldn't even get a word out. And then when I come to my senses, that frightened feeling wore off. I was sitting in my car, and I was like, wow, what the heck just happened?
oh, well, that's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And that's precious. Thank you for asking. All right. We haven't gotten into it yet. And why don't you talk about your first book, My Chosen Journey, Paranormal My Chosen Journey, excuse me.
This is actually it right here for those that haven't seen it.
Here, we do have, I do have the picture here. Well, whoops, 1 second here. We'll share the screen here. All right, and now go back and share it, or make it a person. There we go.
There it is. You can you can see it's also available on Kindle, and you can also, if you're in the Gettysburg area, if you stop by the Ghost City Tours store down in the square, the circle there in the heart of town, you can actually buy it at that store. So
Yeah, nice.
if you'd like this kind of stuff, check it out, because book number 2 is getting ready to come out in a few weeks. But this book here, Paranormal: My Chosen Journey, it's kind of funny because, like I mentioned a million times already, I'm such an avid reader, and I've always since like age 9, I've wanted to write a book. I never knew what about, but I knew I wanted to write a book. And Dave and I were doing a seminar one night, and this lady raised her hand and she's like, I got a 2-part question. Whatever got you into this? And why do you do it? And I was like, boom, there's my book. So that right there, but it's kind of cool. It's all true. It's no fiction. And it's just a timeline from the early 70s of events and occurrences throughout my life up until the point to right before Dave and I formed Paranormal Inc. And basically what I do is I try to show a little bit of the spiritual side, the scientific side, kind of bridge that gap and bring to the readers that no matter what side of the fence you're on, we're looking at the same exact thing. But, there's some really enjoyable stories in there. And like I said, it's from the heart, man. It's all true,
Well, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
And Fresh says he'll check it out.
That is awesome. Appreciate that.
All right. And your second book.
My second book. This one's a little, it's the same format. I like doing every chapter a different story, basically. But this is kind of like 2 things I'm bringing together. And I'm real big into, I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in good and bad luck. I'm very religious, and I'm very into the universe makes things happen. And, everything in life, you may receive some sort of sign. You may not even be aware of it, but the sign might be there. I like to say it's up to us. The universe is constantly talking. It's up to us to relax, slow down, and listen. And, the 2 things I mainly write about in the book is receiving different signs and how you can miss them, how you can perceive them, what they mean. But what I think the readers are going to like is in book number 2, I've included several stories which also coincide with receiving signs, but I've included stories of paranormal incidents that I've experienced while working on duty as a cop. So if you saw me on Travel Channel's Haunted Hospitals, you'll know exactly what I mean, because in book number 2, I'm going to be including the story of why I was featured on Haunted Hospital. And yes, that's book number 2.
Always paranormal, always a realm away.
Yes. I think you're going to like that.
We'll have to check
and
that
hopefully
out.
The man that was asking those questions, if he gets the second book, maybe, because the way he was wording it, I really wasn't getting his question, but maybe that'll answer some of his questions.
So I did see that episode of Haunted Hospitals. Have you encountered that female since?
Well,
or is that a?
It's so funny, man. I've had, when I encountered that female, that was 2014. It wasn't until I think it was 2021. I had a kind of like a follow-up to it. I was getting off in the morning, It was turning daylight, but it was still more dark than daylight. And I was traveling the road. I was preparing to go home because Dave and I, early the next morning, we were preparing to go to, where the hell were we preparing to go? Martinsville, West Virginia or Virginia. It was called the Halloween Extravaganza. It was a 3-day Paracon, and it was us and Lori Johnson and just a whole host of great people. But as I was driving down that road, I saw a person jogging. Okay. I couldn't see the person. I saw their shadow coming out of the wood line approaching the guardrail, which, is right at the street where I was. So driving down that road, I came to almost a complete stop to let the person run in front of me because it was still dark out. Well, when I saw that shadow coming to the guardrail and I stopped my car, that shadow ran through the guardrail about 4 feet in front of my car. And when they hit the other side of the road, which is only a few feet away, they just went and was gone. Wow. So at that point, I realized I saw a shadow person. Now, it was the same exact location where I saw the gray lady. However, this is the first time I experienced this, and this is the last time I've experienced this. We've all heard, read, or maybe even seen shadow figures. But this shadow figure that ran in front of my car, I literally saw the arms and the legs in stride moving, which I can't explain that. I've never seen that before. It looked like the little man on the bathroom sign, the little black silhouette. That's what it looked like.
Wow. So
now the only other occasion incident that happened there was and this is recent. It was my last night of work before I left to go to Gettysburg, which was Sunday or 2 Sundays ago. I was in that same vicinity driving that road, and I believe that I was seeing the shadow of an owl, like an owl swooping down. But when it went in front of my car, now, like around Halloween, you have the decorations you hang up on the wall or put in your window.
Definitely.
Yeah, this shadow I saw, it wasn't an owl. It was some sort of shadow figure because it kind of looked rigid and it was horizontal, but it didn't move like a bird or an owl or anything else. When it came across the road, it stayed completely still, except it moved like this and went off. There was no wings, no movement. I just saw the shadow of what I thought was a large bird coming down. And it stayed completely still and just went like this and out. So it's weird. But the funny thing, the hospital, now, when I saw the gray lady, I saw her on the road, okay? And for those that saw the episode, where I saw her. The other 2 people that encountered her on the hospital property at a certain parking lot. Now, the hospital is no longer open, but the building's still there. Next to the hospital is a functioning medical office building. They have, several types of doctors in this big office building. Like, it might be a throat and nose doctor and a foot doctor, whatever. But through some research back in the late 1800s, where that building now stands, that's a functioning office building to a variety of doctors, that used to be a sanatorium.
Oh.
And so, because I could never figure, where this gray lady come from. Was she someone that took her life on that road? Was she a patient from the hospital? Well, now, come to find out, there was a sanatorium next to the hospital that's no longer there, but now a functioning building. even further research my publicist Loren helped out with is she went into the whole thing about the color and style of the gowns. And the gown that the three of us saw this lady in was exact and same color as the gowns that was used in that time period by sanatoriums. So I have no concrete evidence that the gray lady I saw or the gray lady that the other two folks saw, I can't say that, yes, she was a patient at that sanatorium, but if I had to make an educated guess, that's where I would put my money on, that she was some sort of, resident or patient there in the past.
That's awesome to discover.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. That's that's good research too.
Yeah,
definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that'll be in book number 2, and which will hopefully be out in a few weeks.
Okay. And Loren goes, "Oh my God, yes, you remembered that." All right, and before we forget, also what you have for the banner behind you, you and David do a podcast.
Yeah, we do. We go every other Sunday evening. Not this Sunday coming up, but next Sunday is our next episode, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Step into the paranormal. I mean, you can catch it all over the place. WLFE-DB Radio, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, or do it the easy way. Go on our website, paranormalinc.net, and there's the links to our YouTube channel, our podcast. For those that are on Facebook, I have a closed, and I want you guys to hear this too. Page, it's simply Paranormal Inc. And I keep, you have to friend request to get in, and that's for a reason. But everyone that comes on and joins that page, we want your photos, we want your stories, we want you to promote yourself, what you got coming up, what you got going on. That's what it's there for, man. One love, it's to bring everyone together. I believe that's how we got in contact, was through Facebook.
Definitely, yeah.
I'd like to use my Paranormal Inc. page in a positive way. It's no judgment, it's no criticism. We're not going to try to, be disrespectful in any way. So send me a friend request on Paranormal Inc. on Facebook and get on there and have fun, man. We're dying to hear your stories, see your photos, and it's just a good way of everybody getting in contact. We do all our, promoting all our events and all other people's events. So it's a lot of fun.
All right. We're about out of time here.
That went quick.
Yeah.
It did indeed go quick. Actually, one more question before. What do you have as far as upcoming appearances go?
What do I have?
I don't know if I got much from your website or anything.
Like I said, Dave and I, other than our podcast, we're kind of taking a break until September. Our next event will be September 23rd. We are hosting a public investigation at the Samuel Miller Mansion that we were just discussing. We do have, now these dates aren't set yet, but we will be back at the historic 1912 Hoover House. We will be returning to Ramblewood, and Lord only knows where else. So, plus, there's a lot of up and coming Paracons. So all the dates, if you just follow the page, all the dates, everything will be up there. For those that are in the area, I know this is jumping ahead, but November 3rd, I will be doing a lecture in Glen Burnie, Maryland at the VFW on Dorsey Road, promoting book number 2. So that's always a fun event, great turnout. So come on out. It's free to the public, and you can hear me ramble even more.
All right. I want to thank our guest, author, paranormal investigator Ernie Atwell, for coming on. Thank you, Ernie. To follow Ernie, he has a Facebook account. Also has a Paranormal Inc. website, as he said earlier just a moment ago, paranormalinc.net. And the name of their YouTube channel also is Paranormal Inc. Also, of course, on Facebook, Paranormal Inc. And also Step Into the Paranormal podcast also has a Facebook page.
Right.
And it's available on Spotify, iTunes, Spreaker, just to name a few places.
Yeah.
His books, Paranormal, My Chosen Journey, and the upcoming one, Paranormal Always a Realm Away, are or will be available on Amazon. Our next show will be next Thursday. We do not take a week off this time. July 27th. Yeah, we got we're working hard. July 27th.
Can I intervene for 1 second?
Sure.
Your last guest was Dr. Rebecca Foster.
Yes, indeed.
I just wanted to let her know, in case there's any worry, your lunchbox is safe. I still have it. So the next event, I will get that to you.
All right. And again, July 27th, our next guest will be the Ghost Finders. And they are from YouTube. They've been doing a show on YouTube for 12 years.
Wow.
Pretty impressive. Go ahead.
A couple of them was at Gettysburg Bash there. Steve Dills. You know Steve Dills?
Well, I look forward to meeting him, actually.
Yeah, oh my goodness, you're going to have a blast with this guy. Man, great guy. He was actually another one that was with me and Rebecca, and who else did I say was in Virginia?
Was Sam in Virginia?
Sam, yeah. We were all together at Strasbourg last month. So yeah, Steve Dill is a great guy, man. You're going to have a lot of fun talking to him. He's very, very, very knowledgeable, very passionate as well about what he does. So he's a good guy. Tell him I said hello.
We certainly will do that.
I am definitely going to keep that Gettysburg Bash on my radar for next year.
You have to, man. That's like the I can't even put into words what you have to. That's one of those things you have to experience for yourself. That's all I can say.
Yeah. How packed is it, may I ask?
What's that?
How busy is it? How packed is it of people?
It's funny because 3-day event.
Uh-huh.
The ticket sale gets you in for all 3 days, and it's never to the point where you're like crammed and you can't move. It's just like a nice steady flow all weekend. It's just a steady busy, and it's something you have to experience. You will absolutely love it and continue to go back every year.
Well, that's good. We'll have to try to get down there next year.
Oh, yes, definitely.
All right. Well, if you like the broadcast, consider helping us out by liking and sharing. Also, thank you for everyone for tuning in. Again, chat, excellent guys. Thank you. And also watching on Facebook, give us a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and sharing on YouTube. If you watch this far and you haven't already subscribed, you might as well just subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of future broadcasts. Thank you. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Michael, do you have anything to add?
No, but if anybody's in the Tennessee area, Got Knockers will be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Festival Conference this weekend. Right. So, and then I guess the next one we'll be at is our own August 12th. We're having the PA Central PA Bigfoot Encrypted Festival in Elysburg here in Pennsylvania. My wife's putting it on only because, and it seems like we're getting a good buzz. Which is really good because all the festivals for Bigfoot seem to be all Western PA. We're in more the central locations towards the east end. So it's going to be exciting.
That is a good point. Yeah, they are all out west.
That's why she wanted to start it. And we were both nervous, but seeing people sharing it, people coming up, she got contacted by an online news agency, did an article on it. And yeah, so we're getting some good buzz. Got 20-some vendors, 5 food trucks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's going to be.
You got me at food trucks.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're not too far. Come on up. It's August 12th. I don't know if you ever been to our part of Pennsylvania. I mean, maybe you might have seen a sign for Knoebels.
Mm-mm.
No, you haven't heard of Knoebels? Well, we're about 15 minutes from Knoebels, and this place is going to be where she's having it literally like right on its back door in Elysburg, PA. And it's an amusement park. Knoebels is pretty much,
wow.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
I will probably be in attendance as well. Be in attendance there.
before I jump out of here, man, I really appreciate you guys having me on, and completely honored to speak with you guys and just have a good time, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your time, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah,
like I said, man, anything you guys are doing, involved in, have coming up, please go on my Paranormal Inc. page. That's what it's for. It's to unite everybody and just spread the love, spread the education, spread the fun. So please get on there and post away. And that's to anyone that's
yeah. And you can do the same thing with. I know my wife has got knockers on Facebook. Check that out. You can do the same thing.
I will check that out tonight. Absolutely.
Yeah. And also on CRC.
Yeah.
You can certainly post stuff there as well. Thank you. I've been posting for a while the shows on Paranormal Inc. I know that. I just got a chance to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
All right. If you can, feel free to hang on through the outro. If not, that's fine too. Thank you. Again, we return July 27th with the Ghost Finders. And that will end the show. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. And I'm going to take us out. If I can figure out the right thing to take us out here, as I make a mistake. Here we go. We'll do a couple things here.
You're watching Paranormal Files Into the Darkness on CARC Universal.
All right.
This has been a CARC Universal production.